Tame Impala just disappointed all of his fans with his new album. If you guys haven't heard, Tame Impala dropped a new record titled Deadbeat, which I'm not going to explain what the genre of the music is just yet, because that is a key factor why a lot of people are misjudging this album. But let's give a little context. It's been 5 years since he dropped his prior record. The Slow Rush was more of a psychedelic pop dance music, style of music album. And a lot of people were fond of it. It kind of grew on them, and then when the pandemic stuff happened, which happened around the same time, his popularity grew with TikTok. Let It Happen became a billion stream song. A lot of people were checking out New Person, Same Old Mistakes, all these different styles of songs from him. And people were like, wow, did you guys know Tame Impala is just one guy? It's not a band, because the name Tame Impala sounds more of like a band, but that's besides the point. Like, even when he performs live, he performs with a band that is part of a different group, which is Pond, which is another Australian psychedelic kind of pop band. And they're actually pretty good, so go check them out too. But regardless of the fact, people just were first getting introduced to Tame Impala ever since his last record. His mainstream popularity grew ever since then. So people were kind of just being introduced to the psychedelic rock, garage band, indie style music that he was making for the past 10 to 15 years, I would say, and maybe even longer than that, because Lonerism and Inner Speaker came out like early 2010s, late 2000s. So people just were not familiar with the timeline of Tame Impala, right? And then comes this new album titled Deadbeat, and people are saying, this feels underwhelming, this feels lackluster, this feels anorexic compared to the previous projects that had such lush, juicy, filled with every sound, every second was filled with something, and it felt like there was a lot of detail put into this compared to this new record that just didn't have any of that. It felt stripped back. It felt like all the things that made Tame Impala good to these new fan base of his just wasn't apparent on the record. They were like, where are the crazy synths? Where is the guitar? Where is the Hofner bass? Where's all the really cool vocal effects, sound effects? Well, hate to break it to you guys, but this is what we call progressing as an artist. What we call is evolving, changing your style, trying new things. A lot of people think that their artists should stay in this one bubble. Well, I don't call those types of artists, I call them businessmen. And he even goes to explain in his new interview with Zane Lowe that if you guys wanted me to be more business orientated, if that's what you guys assumed, I would have just kept making Current. I could have just kept making the Slow Rush albums, those are being his most successful records.
If I didn't care about the music anymore and I just wanted to make money and sell albums, the way that you would know that is if I just did the same thing again.
Yeah.
Because I would know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I would know what radio station's going to play it. I would know how it's going to perform. I would know who's going to like it, what demographics or whatever. It would all be so planned out for me. Like making Currents again, making the album that previously made again would have just been, making a bunch of Elephant sort of redos would have got me on every car commercial in America,
And then he would have been making money because he already figured out the formula. He's already perfected that style, and he wants to try something new. And he goes on to explain in the same interview that for years now, ever since the Slow Rush, and he's been wanting to make new records for Tame Impala, that he's been trying a new style of music, which if you have been listening to the previous records of Current and Slow Rush, you would see the hints and the inklings of this new style being electronic dance music and techno. He wanted to make a different genre of music. He wanted to try something new, hence Deadbeat. And yeah, if you are judging Tame Impala's new record with his previous records genres in mind, you're judging a psych rock album with different criteria. That's not what you guys should do. You guys judge an electronic dance music album with electronic dance music album criteria. That's what you should judge it off. And now I'm not sitting here and saying that the album was great or it was phenomenal. It's the best EDM album, but I will say it was underwhelming, but not for the same reasons like I just expressed. So people go onto this album, they hear it, and they say, I kind of wish he did a little bit more. And I agree. I do think there could have been a lot more synths. There could have been a lot more space that could have been taken up and instead of letting it be so airy and letting the drums being the main focus. I'm not the biggest dancing kind of guy, so dance records are a little bit harder for me to gravitate towards, unless it's just so hypnotic, it's so like overwhelming that it's kind of hard for me to not like the song. You know what I'm saying? Versus this album just didn't have a lot of that in my opinion, so that's why I'm not the biggest fan of this. But I will applaud that he's trying something different, because I've been saying this in a lot of my videos that artists need to evolve. Stop making the same records. Stop making the same things. And a lot of people go on to tell me, like, for example, in my album tier list video, I talked about how Alfredo 2 by Freddie Gibbs was a trash record because it sounded just like the previous record, Alfredo 1. It didn't sound like they did anything different. It just said like, oh, we're going to do the same formula, the same style, the same rapping references, the same type of beats, like literally the same everything. And people expect me to like the album just because Alfredo 1 was good. I'm like, nah, he's already shown me he could do that. Do something different. So when I hear Tame Impala do this, I applaud him for that. I appreciate that, for the fact that he's trying to open my ears to something new. Now, I'm not the biggest EDM fan. I do like a couple bands, a couple artists, a couple DJs here and there, but I'm not going to say that I'm fully entrenched in that style of music. I know all the lore and all this, but regardless of the fact, just look at even the name of the title of the album, Deadbeat. A lot of people think that it might be a reference to his new fatherhood with like him having a child, like even his daughter is on the cover of the album. People are thinking it's like that relationship with him being a musician, superstar. He's traveling all over the world. Maybe he doesn't get enough time to spend with her. That could be the case. Or he's talking about being a loser on the album. Maybe he's like taking ownership of these words. He's calling himself that before anybody else can call him that. Or maybe it's even his relationship with his mother, who died when he was like a teenager, I think. So he doesn't have a real relationship. Like I remember on the Slow Rest is a song called Postompia's Forgiveness, talking about like how he forgives his dad for not being there for his first record deal and all these like things that he accomplished in music that they were both big fans of. Like that's the thing that kind of connected them together. But I will say, I don't think that's what Deadbeat stands for. I think the title of the album is referencing the music. I think Kevin Parker knew that when this album came out, people are gonna not like it at first. People are gonna say like, where are the synths? Like this feels dead. It's a dead beat. Like Kevin Parker's dead. Like where's his like the synths? Where's the luxurious? Where's the juiciness of his music? He knew that people were not gonna be open to this at first because they weren't aware of the transition. Like if you look at Lonerism and Inner Speaker and the transition from that style of like indie garage rock music, psych rock music, to more of the synth pop, psychedelic pop, indie like psych rock music of like Currents and the Slow Rush, there was a way smoother transition. It was way easier to see the events leading to different, styles of music. But this one was kind of like too beneath the surface, where if you weren't really paying attention, you weren't really seeing the like evolution to a different style of music. So I say this to say, people, be a little bit open-minded, try different styles of music, give other things a chance, and don't be so quick to say, I don't like this because it's not what I used to like from you. Like I miss the old Tame Impala. Like I hate that sentence when people say I miss the blank, or I love the old blank. Usually they talk about Kanye because he's like one of the biggest when it comes to this style. But that whole sentiment of wishing the older version of somebody, it just sounds like you wish they died. It feels like you wish they got some legendary like pause in time kind of button, like you wish you could control time and they never, like a painting or something, like you wish they never change. I feel like that's not what it means to be living or being a human. So give people a chance, give Kevin Parker and Tame Impala a chance, and I'm sure you'll start to see things and you'll like new things. Step out of your comfort zone, step out of your bubble, evolve, people, evolve. So you guys let me know what you guys think about the Tame Impala record, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm looking too deep into the criticism that he's receiving, but you guys let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like, and thank you for watching.